What we do here is go back.
Bending. I love bending. It's the least toxic community of all Minecraft. However, there are certain servers who claim that they have a balanced config that is fair and is made for PvP. Today we're going to take a look at one. We're going to check out the last block bender. Before we get started, I would like to mention that this video was solely my idea. There is no one else to blame for this but myself. So if you're upset and looking for someone to be angry at, you're looking at him. Now that I have painted the picture, let's get right into the server review. The chat rules on that server are ridiculously strict. It is constantly being monitored by staff who are incompetent and nitpick any little thing that is said. Most of their staff team consists of snowflakes who get offended by the most childish things. It is understandable to mute people for racist or homophobic slurs. However, the staff are being extremely childish and warning people for absolutely unharmful insults. An example of that would be getting warned for calling someone a doo-doo head. That is the type of insult that in their opinion is worthy of a warning. What was your past experience with the last blockbender staff?
Well, my experience on TLB with the staff, with the staff side was was terrible. It was pure cock and balls because their rules and way of managing was so inconsistent where staff would almost roast the players and insult them or even condescend them. And the second they'd say anything back, it's a warning. The staff team is just terrible. It's so biased with some players and they don't treat the community equally. They prefer a player over another. And they have some very shitty punishments for any light action.
The staff are extremely close-minded about things to improve about their server. Nonetheless, they are not shy about talking down on other servers, yet they find it insulting when people talk bad about the last blockbender. It is very hypocritical. As a wise man once said, never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. Mark Twain. In my opinion, this sums up every debate you will have with the staff members on that server. What do you think of the TLB staff?
To be honest, they're dicks for doing that shit, because, I was cool with them before because I used to play on that server before BP released, and it was cool with me and shit, and I didn't do anything wrong, and now it's just I don't know what the fuck happened to them, but they just became, not even strict, but just out here harassing people, bro, to be honest. Or just mainly the comp players, to be honest, not their own player base, but the comp players that don't play on the server every day. And that's just kind of unfair, because we come on there just to fuck around. They don't see us as equals just because we don't play on their server every day and give it their support. So that's just my view on that one too. And to be honest, their helpers and shit, that's a no for me, bro, because I don't understand how they can. It's weird how the helpers are the ones instigating the fights instead of stopping it. And then when I go, or just not just me, but anyone else that say anything back, we get in trouble for it. So it's just hypocritical, to be honest. And Chris does not do a good job at all, to be honest. And he be out here spamming kill and fucking combat, immature as fuck. And yeah, all the other staff suck his dick. So they don't care about what we say. They just care what they say.
The owner of this server is a certain man known as Chris M. Wiggs. He has proven time and time again that he loves to invade people's privacy. The main example for that would be him interrupting people having a conversation in /MSG if people said something bad about the server or if they gave constructive criticism, which is obvious that this is one of the main things that TLB failed to capitalize on and grow from. Overall, this just shows how controlling Chris is about their players' opinions who play on his server. The staff have a hard time understanding what PvP is. They possess an arena and the rules in the arena are extremely strict. By that I mean that killing someone once and them telling you to stop is considered targeting and worthy of a warn. I have had my own experience similar to this where I attacked a staff member who now became admin. Surely they would keep things professional, right? Wrong! After attacking me and not killing them, I get a verbal warning that if I keep attacking them, I will get a warn. What baffles me is that they love to claim being a PvP server, and yet they have such strict rules when it comes to PvP. Being good at the game is a crime in the eyes of the staff, so much so that they use the words PvP bro as an insult, and it is used to designate people who happen to be good at the game. As soon as you're able to go on a murder spree on their server without ever facing death, you're labeled as a PvP bro, and I find it weird that a PvP server doesn't want their players to get good at bending. I don't know, that just seems pretty odd, doesn't it? What do you think of that server's regular benders?
Well, some of the players in the community, the regulars, which are basically the face of TLB, they're like in their own way toxic. They completely hate anybody who has some form of skill in bending or that comes from like a competitive server. And they try their best to drive out those people using terms like PvP bros, which by the way is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And they're trying to remove a key aspect of bending, which is the PvP and the competitiveness, because they don't like being killed. And they use the excuse of quote unquote it's toxic as a way to justify their toxicity.
Their server is really not all cupcakes and rainbows. You know what, in retrospect it is. The staff have this impression that their server possesses the best config for bending. Now, I don't know if that's their ego, but anyone who contains brain cells is able to tell that those are just fake news.
Fake news. It's fake. Phony. Fake.
They use the same argument and it is really redundant at the end of the day. Bending servers can't all... Sorry, I'm just guessing what the server owner sounds like, don't judge me, I've never heard his voice. Bending servers can't all be the same, or else what's the point? Yes, you are totally right, however, one of the main issues is that you consider this a PvP based config when it is clearly unbalanced. And I can't help but notice that this server has a fairly large player base, yet they get completely brushed off when they make a complaint about the config. The owner has also went as far as to delete suggestions that have already been made before. The owner is so defensive that he once has even added the words nerf or buff to the chat filter, and if someone bypassed the filter to say those words, they would get warned. What is your opinion on their config?
Well, it's a level-based config, so just by the name you can just tell it's a terrible idea. They tried going for something unique and completely failed because it's super unbalanced. The config is that whoever has more playing time has some form of technical edge in the server. A good bender with low levels would lose versus a mediocre bender with high levels. And that's kind of proof of unbalance. They tried going for something out of the box and ended up having a config that's kind of laughed at by the whole bending community.
Ah, yes. A PvP-based config has a leveling system, because that clearly makes things fair. Furthermore, the cherry on top, the leveling system is based off how much you grind. I mean that your moves individually level up from how much you repeat the same move over and over again. You don't have to hit someone for it to level up. Now if you ask me, do I think that this is what a PvP based config is? The answer is no. However, it would make their situation an awful lot better if they didn't try to act all high and mighty about their PvP config and talk down to other servers' configs. Considering the server owner has no bending experience and can veto every decision their bending manager makes, I find it non-beneficial at all for the server as a whole to have a man like Chris and Wiggs take the shots when it comes to the config. What do you think of TLB's config?
Well, TLB's config is like really special because like it's like more like a play to win server than a like just like experience to win server kind of thing. Like in the arenas, they just like hand you steak to eat instead of like having natural regen and saturation, which is really whack. And they just, I'm pretty sure the owner prides his players as, oh yeah, they're pretty good, even though like they just grind out moves. Like how's that good at all?
In order for everything to be more clear with the audience, since I'm sure some of you are asking yourselves, DJ, what is their config like? Well, you will regret asking that question. Here are a few of my favorites. You can wall run for every element. That includes waterbenders and also earthbenders. Air shield blocks earth smash, even before you even shoot it. Earthline at level 10 does 1.85 hearts, which is more than Shockwave at level 10. Air was extremely OP. The way they decided to solve it, add a 2-second cooldown to Air Blast. The hitboxes are ridiculous. Do I even need to explain this? Just take a look. The small catapult is useless. You can't even reach above your raised earth. Did I forget to mention that you have to eat in the arena? The speed of chi blockers is faster than the majority of men in bed. Like, what is this? That rounds up pretty much all of my favorites, although there are a lot of more mistakes on the server config. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Bending Cop. Overall, I rate this server 1 star on Yelp. Let me know in the comments if you have any of Chris and Wiggs' kryptonite, which is constructive criticism for him, since I'm sure he will be watching this video. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Loud.